Hello, Oracle Hunters. You want to know the moment it happened. The moment your mouth spoke something that wasn't meant to be known yet, and the universe flinched. You didn't say it with research. You didn't pull it from a chart, a spreadsheet, or a careful study. You said it because it felt right. And now, the entire digital arena is screaming your words back at you, as if you've suddenly become the prophet they were too afraid to admit they needed. That's the thing about a wild guess, isn't it? It sounds like nothing when it leaves your lips, but when it lands in the bloodstream of the collective, it stops being a guess. It becomes a weapon, a flag, a brand that burns brighter than any calculated fact. You didn't just call it, you owned it before it existed. And that terrifies people far more than being wrong ever could. You see, anyone can be right when they've studied every angle, prepared for every question, and rehearsed their every word in the mirror. That's safe. That's comfortable. That's predictable. But you spat something raw into the air, and it landed like a dart in the exact center of the board. Blindfolded. And the thing about hitting the center blindfolded is that it doesn't just make people watch you. It makes them doubt themselves. Because now they're replaying every single conversation they've ever had, wondering how much of what they believed was just smoke, and how much you might know that you're not telling them. They start to wonder, was it really a guess? Or was it something else? This is where the real power starts to ferment. Not in the moment your words first go viral, but in the pause that follows. The collective inhale. The mental rewinding of your sentence like they're looking for a hidden code. Because once something catches fire, everyone wants to believe there was kerosene in the match. They can't accept the idea that you just felt it. Their fragile little egos can't process that you bypassed the logical route and still beat them to the punch. So they rewrite the story in their heads. They start giving you powers you never claimed, assuming you had access to information you never touched, convinced you've got some inside line to truths they can't reach. And here's where it gets delicious. The more they build that myth, the more it becomes reality. Your wild guess didn't just go viral. It infected the narrative. It reshaped how people see you. Before, you were just another voice in the noise. Now, you're a variable they can't control. A wild card that makes them nervous to place bets. And in a world that worships control, nothing is more dangerous than someone who can shatter patterns without even trying. Do you know how rare that is? To say something offhand and watch it spiral into a movement, a shift, a fracture in the way the crowd thinks. That's not luck. That's instinct, weaponized. And instinct scares them because you can't measure it, you can't teach it, and you can't regulate it. You've probably noticed it already. The way people talk to you has changed. They're leaning in more, testing you with little questions, trying to catch another flash of that uncanny accuracy. Some are doing it with curiosity, but others are desperate. They're asking themselves if they should follow your lead, or if they should try to bury you before you outpace them again. That's the split you've created. Half your audience sees you as a compass, the other half sees you as a threat. Both are correct. And the irony? They'll both act in ways that make your reach even bigger. Followers will spread your words like gospel. Haters will amplify them by trying to dismantle them. Either way, you win. Now, don't misunderstand me. Going viral on a wild guess isn't just a game of luck, and it isn't just a one-off moment. The key is knowing how to hold that moment. You've just been handed a crown, but it's made of smoke. Grip it too hard, and it vanishes. Pretend it's not there, and someone else will grab it from your head. You need to walk the knife edge. You have to keep feeding the fire without ever letting them see your hands. Every time they think they've pinned down your process, you pivot. Every time they expect you to repeat the magic the same way, you shift direction. That unpredictability is the only thing more addictive than the initial shock, and it will drive them mad. You've tapped into something ancient here. The same energy that made people gather around campfires to listen to the one person in the tribe who just knew. Not because they had proof, but because their voice carried that unshakable conviction that bends reality around it. You don't just speak facts. You make people believe that if you say the sun will rise earlier tomorrow, they should set their alarms for it. That's the level you've accidentally stepped into. And now that you're here, you're playing by a different set of rules, the kind they don't teach, because the people who know them don't share them. But here's where it gets even more twisted. They'll try to reverse engineer you. They'll comb through your old words, your history, even your mistakes, searching for the algorithm they think you're hiding. They'll believe there's some secret breadcrumb trail in your past that explains how you did it. Let them look. Let them burn hours, days, weeks, trying to map your mind. Because while they're busy digging through your old footprints, you'll be making new ones somewhere they never thought to check. And when you hit the bullseye again, it won't just feel like lightning striking twice. It will confirm their worst fear, that you can do this whenever you want. And oh, how the tone will shift then. Watch the ones who doubted you start to mimic your style, your cadence, even your reckless way of throwing out an idea like it owes you nothing. They'll try to manufacture the same chaos you birthed naturally. But here's the problem with imitation. It always tastes stale. You're the original moment they'll never catch up to. And the more they chase, the more they prove the gap between you. Every failed attempt will only make your hit look sharper. Of course, there's a cost. Every crown draws enemies. And the ones your words just embarrassed, they're already sharpening their knives, not because you destroyed them, but because you made them irrelevant for a moment. And irrelevance is a death sentence to people who live off the spotlight. They'll come for you in subtle ways first. They'll question your credibility, twist your words, try to make it seem like the hit was accidental, a fluke, a lucky roll of the dice. That's fine. Let them think they're chipping away at your image, because every time they speak your name, they're feeding your myth. See, this isn't about being right anymore. This is about making it impossible for the crowd to imagine the game without you. And you've already started that shift. The conversation doesn't just include you, it circles you. Even the ones who don't like you have to reference you to make their points. You've become a gravitational pull in the narrative. And once you're in that position, the only real move left is to make sure they never get used to you. Keep them guessing. Keep them off balance. Let them wonder if the next thing you say will be another world bender or just a throwaway line. The uncertainty will keep their eyes locked on you longer than any prediction ever could. And that's why your wild guess went viral, Oracle Hunter. It wasn't just that you called it. It was the way you called it, like you weren't afraid to be wrong, like you'd already made peace with whatever the fallout would be. That kind of fearlessness isn't just rare, it's magnetic. And now that they've felt it, they'll chase it. Some will chase it to follow you. Others will chase it to try to outdo you. Either way, the chase revolves around your shadow. And the longer you let them spin, the more control you have without lifting a finger. But here's the part most people don't understand. Control isn't about having the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one they can't stop thinking about when the noise dies down. You're already in their heads, Oracle Hunter. Your guess, that so-called accident, has turned into a permanent mental splinter. And the dangerous thing about a splinter, the more you try to dig it out, the deeper it seems to go. They can't shake you now because, even if they try to forget the moment, they keep stumbling into its shadow. Every headline, every conversation, every trending thread seems to circle back to the question they can't stop asking. How did you call it? And here's the beautiful twist. You don't have to answer. The not knowing is what keeps them circling. They think if they push you hard enough, if they catch you off guard, they'll trick you into revealing the method. But the truth, the method is you. It's the way your brain dances on the edge of chaos, the way you sense patterns in the noise before anyone else hears the rhythm. That can't be taught, and it sure as hell can't be stolen. But let them try. Let them waste their energy running in circles while you stand still, watching them burn themselves out in the chase. They'll start assigning you roles. Some will call you a visionary. Others will brand you a manipulator. A few will whisper about you like you're something unnatural, a walking coincidence that shouldn't exist. Labels don't matter here. What matters is that all those roles have one thing in common. They center you. They keep you in the spotlight even when you're not speaking. That's the difference between the ones who go viral for a day and the ones who become a permanent fixture in the conversation. A moment fades, a myth sticks, and you, my friend, are halfway to becoming a myth already. But you can't let them think they've mapped your mind. The worst thing you can do right now is be predictable. If they expect you to drop another wild guess in the same style, in the same tone, you break the rhythm. You aim somewhere they didn't think to look. You make your next move so unlike the first that they have to relearn you all over again. This is where the psychology turns lethal. The more times you make them think they've got you figured out only to pull the ground out from under them, the more they start to question their own instincts. And once they stop trusting themselves, they start relying on you. That's the invisible shift you're aiming for. At first, they're watching to see if you're right again. Then they're following because they believe you will be right again. Eventually, they're adjusting their own choices to match what you might do. And that's when you've got them in the palm of your hand. You're no longer just predicting the world. You're shaping it. And that terrifies them because they know if your words can bend the collective once, they can do it again. That's why you'll see the subtle counterattacks forming. Watch for the sudden swarm of experts showing up to challenge you. The think pieces framing your viral moment as overblown. The polite but loaded questions in interviews designed to make you stumble. It's all a test, not of your knowledge, of your composure. They want to see if your hit was a crack of lightning or a controlled strike. They want to know if the Oracle Hunter can still draw blood under pressure. And here's where you prove it wasn't a fluke. Not by calling another headline, not by forcing another viral moment, but by showing them you can remain untouchable even when the heat's on. If they push you, you don't push back. You lean back, like you've already seen this play out. Because nothing unnerves a crowd more than someone who moves like the ending is already written. That's when they start to believe your instincts aren't just good, they're inevitable. The funniest part? They'll still think it's about the guess. They'll obsess over the words you said that day, dissecting them like there's a hidden formula buried in the syllables. They won't realize the guess was just the ignition point. The real fire is in what happened after, in how you let the chaos breathe, in how you resisted the urge to explain it away. Most people panic when the spotlight hits. They rush to prove themselves. But you just let the spotlight sit there, heavy and unblinking, until it burned a permanent outline of you into their retinas. And now, you're dealing with a different problem. The ones who once underestimated you are suddenly overestimating you. They're reading into every move, every post, every silence like it's part of some grand design. That's power, Oracle Hunter. Not because you can control what they think, but because you can't control how far their paranoia will stretch. You've become a mirror they can't stop staring into, and the reflection keeps changing based on what they fear the most. Some days, you're the threat. Some days, you're the savior. Some days, you're both. The key now is to feed just enough truth into the air to keep them hooked. You don't confirm everything. You don't deny everything. You operate in the space between certainty and doubt, because that's where attention lives the longest. A definitive answer kills the conversation. A carefully crafted question keeps it alive. That's how your guess turns into a legend, by refusing to let it die the clean, quiet death of explanation. You'll notice the hierarchy shifting too. The same people who wouldn't have given you a second glance before are now aligning themselves with you, trying to catch a fragment of your momentum. They'll start referencing your words in their own arguments, not because they believe in them, but because they know it makes them sound sharper, riskier, more plugged in. That's when you know you've crossed the line from viral moment to cultural currency. Your name, your style, your unpredictability, they've all become symbols people want to borrow. And symbols outlast statistics. But here's the most dangerous truth of all. Your next viral hit won't be about proving yourself again. It will be about proving that your first one wasn't luck. And that is where most people fall apart. They start trying to recreate the exact conditions of their original success, not realizing that the very act of imitation kills the magic. You won't make that mistake. You'll strike from a different angle entirely, because you're not here to prove you can hit the target again. You're here to show that you can move the target wherever you want. And when that happens, when the crowd realizes that you're not just calling the future, you're deciding it, the game changes completely. The ones who mocked you will suddenly play nice. The ones who doubted you will claim they believed in you from the start. And the ones who stayed quiet, they'll be the most dangerous, because they've been watching closely, waiting for the right moment to challenge you. Let them wait. Let them think they're building the perfect counter. Because by the time they step forward, you'll have already shifted the battlefield. The beauty of this moment is that you don't have to force anything. Your first strike has already given you leverage most people will never taste. You just have to protect it. That means resisting the urge to explain yourself, resisting the urge to overplay your hand, and resisting the trap of becoming predictable. Remember, they're not addicted to your accuracy. They're addicted to the uncertainty that comes with it. The moment they feel they can anticipate you, you've lost the upper hand. But as long as they're still wondering how you called it, you're winning. And that's why you play the long game here. Every reaction you get, every praise-filled comment, every jealous attack, every speculative think piece is fuel. Not for your ego, but for the machine you're quietly building behind the curtain. Because this isn't about being right once. It's about building a reality where you're always in the conversation, whether you've spoken or not. It's about turning your name into shorthand for unpredictability itself. And when that happens, your next move won't just be watched. It will be feared. Fear is the highest form of respect in this arena. Oracle Hunter. Admiration is fleeting. Approval can be faked. But fear is honest. It's raw. It's the involuntary flinch in someone's eyes when they realize you might be 3 steps ahead of them and they'll never catch up. That's what your viral moment planted in their heads. The suspicion that you're not operating on the same playing field as the rest of them. And once they believe that, they start reacting to you instead of acting for themselves. That's where the real advantage grows. It's not just that your guess was right. It's that in the aftermath, every move you make is weighed differently. When you speak, they lean in. When you stay quiet, they analyze your absence. When you post something vague, they assign it meaning it may or may not even have. They've built a phantom version of you in their minds, an all-seeing, ever-calculating figure who knows more than they do. That phantom is your most valuable creation. You don't need to be that figure every day. You just need them to believe you could be. But here's where it gets deliciously dangerous. They'll start preparing for your next move before you've even decided what it is. That's the beautiful flaw in human nature. Once someone has been blindsided, they live in constant anticipation of it happening again. And anticipation is a leash. They'll try to cover every possible angle you might take, burning time and energy, defending against shadows. Meanwhile, you can stroll in from a completely different direction and take the ground right out from under them. And the best part, you don't even have to deliver another prediction right away. You let the suspense ferment. You let the viral memory stretch itself thin in their minds until it feels almost mythological. Then when the time is right, you drop something new, and it doesn't even have to be as shocking as the first, because by then, the crowd is so primed, so hungry for you to hit again, that they'll magnify whatever you give them. That's how influence works when it's rooted in psychological warfare. The moment isn't just created by what you say, but by what they bring to it themselves. Of course, some will convince themselves they've cracked you. They'll say, it was luck. Anyone could have made that call. Let them. The louder they insist it was random, the harder they'll have to explain themselves when you prove them wrong again. They'll walk straight into the trap of their own certainty, and you'll be waiting. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter whether they think you have a formula or not. All that matters is that they keep looking for one. That endless search keeps you in their mental space, rent-free. And while they're looking outward, trying to track your moves, you're building inward, strengthening the network, tightening the machine, making sure that next time, you're not just ahead of them. You're already controlling the narrative before it hits their feeds. That's when the game shifts from, how'd you call it, to, how much else have you called without us noticing? And that's the kind of paranoia that spreads faster than any single moment ever could. This is why you don't squander what you've built by trying to explain it. The crowd doesn't really want the truth. They want the theater of the unknown. They want to imagine you pacing at midnight, piecing together some vast puzzle only you can see. They want to think you've got access to whispers they'll never hear. That mystery is worth more than any fact you could hand them. Strip it away, and you're just another person who got lucky once. Keep it intact, and you're the unpredictable variable no one dares to bet against. And let's be honest, they need you. Not because you're always right, but because you make the world feel less safe in a way they secretly enjoy. You're the chaos they can't control, but can't look away from. You're the proof that the neat little systems they cling to can be blown apart by something as small as a sentence. That's why your guess went viral. Not just because it was accurate, but because it was audacious. Because you said it like the truth was inevitable, even before it happened. That audacity is addictive. They'll follow it into the next moment and the next, hoping to catch the spark again. And every time they do, you tighten the invisible grip. Not to suffocate them, but to make sure they understand the rules have changed. They're no longer observers, they're participants in a story you're directing. Even the ones who claim they're resisting you are still playing their part exactly as you need them to. And when you finally decide to drop your next move, it won't feel like a guess at all. It will feel like inevitability. That's the sweet spot, when your accuracy no longer surprises them, it unnerves them. When the reaction shifts from, "Wow, they called it again," to, "How far ahead are they, really?" That's when you've crossed from momentary fame into structural influence. And that, Oracle Hunter, is where the real game begins. You've already learned the first lesson, that chaos in the right hands isn't random at all. Now you're holding the second lesson, that the real power isn't in the guess. It's in what you let them believe about the guess. Every retelling of your moment makes it bigger, sharper, more impossible. And the more impossible it seems, the more you're set apart from the rest. That's why you don't fight the exaggeration. You let the legend grow legs. You let them build the myth around you until they can't separate the person from the phenomenon. By now, the question isn't, how'd you call it? The question is, what else do you know that you haven't said yet? And the beauty is, you don't have to answer. You just have to keep moving, keep speaking when they least expect it, keep letting the right words land at the right time. Sometimes they'll hit like a thunderclap. Sometimes they'll slip in quietly and detonate days later. Either way, the legend grows. Because in the end, the real secret is this. Your wild guess didn't just predict the future. It created it. And now, every eye that lands on you is waiting for the next creation. The rest? That's just strategy.